Hi everyone, this is the first video of a long series in which I demonstrate my recipes for all my coffee methods. This series is part of my personal coffee studies, wherein I try to better understand the basics of my own homebrew setup. I want to understand what coarseness is needed for all my coffee methods and how that translates to reality. I also want to experience the influence of roast on both the recipe parameters and flavor. Note that I'm not focused on brewing ratios yet at this point. My current main focus is on how recipes, coarseness and roast translate to flavor. To do so, I will buy the same coffee in 3 different roast levels: light, medium and dark. With each coffee, I will try 2 different recipes, one from a book, the other from a YouTube guru or other popular online source. I will compare the two and probably come up with my own recipe that best suits my setup with my equipment. I will also record the grinder settings for both my grinders, one electrical, the other hand operated. In the description below, you will find a link to my studies, freely accessible. There you'll see details on the coffee, the coarseness, grinder settings and all the equipment used, and of course, the recipes themselves. Now, let's get started with the Cafetière and light roasted coffee. I compared 2 recipes, one from a book, the other from James Hoffmann. For links to both, see my document below. After testing, I made my own recipe based on the results that combines elements of both, and it goes a little something like this. I am aiming at a single serving of 20 centiliters of coffee, for which I use 15 grams of beans, ground at the medium coarse level. First, I filter 30 to 50 centiliters of water to remove unwanted flavors and hardness. I use a Brita water filter. While the filter is running, I grind and weigh my coffee. For my Graef CM702, I use setting 25 without any washers installed. With my Zassenhaus hand grinder, that means setting it at 50% roughly. After filtration, I boil. Next, I fill up the cup with boiled soft water and let it stand. I preheat the cafetière by swirling some of the boiled water, then empty it. Add coffee, followed by 20 centiliters of boiled soft water. Let rest for 4 minutes with the top open. After 4 minutes, I stir to sink heavier parts. I do not try to scoop away floating parts. Why? I notice that the floating parts are the larger ones and thus can easily be controlled by the cafetière's filter. So scooping them away is a waste of time. Plus, I want to extract more flavor, not less, so why remove coffee to begin with? After stirring, I let the coffee rest for another 8 minutes, open top, for a total extraction time of around 12 minutes. When time is up, close the lid, plunger up, and gently push the filter down to just above coffee level. Empty the preheated cup and pour the coffee, not too steeply to avoid getting debris in your cup. Set the cafetière aside and enjoy your coffee. If you compare my recipe with the ones that I tested in my studies, you can see some differences. For instance, I used less water than James Hoffmann does, because the volume simply became more than what I wanted to drink, and it overflowed my standard sized cup. I also noticed that with less water at the start, I get a more dense cup. There's almost no water remaining in the cafetière afterwards, and the texture of the coffee is the roundest thus far. Plus, the amount of fine residue in the cup itself is lowest. My theory is that by leaving the larger floating particles in the cafetière, they keep the smaller parts inside when you pour your cup. Preheating is an element that I took from the book. Without it, my coffee became cold too quickly, and since there is a substantial volume in the cup to drink, that could become an issue. And there you have it. I hope you can use my recipe and grinder settings for your own homebrew. Again, for all the details on my settings and equipment, just follow the link in the description to my personal studies. Any questions? Comment here or PM me on Instagram at Bartending, and I will get back to you ASAP. Next video will be on the recipe for my DeLonghi ECP with a double shot light roast using a non-pressurized filter basket. See you then.